Caregiver's Handbook, a self-help love story. Guys, I don't really talk a lot about this book. I wrote it about 15 years ago. It was a very emotional roller coaster that I went on. Talk about the experience I had with my wife, Rita, who passed away after 28 years of being married to me, of a brain tumor. But if you have someone in your life who's a caregiver, you have someone in your life who is really having a difficult time with losing a loved one, this book is really a great resource. That's why I call it a self-help love story, because there's a little bit of love in there, there's a little bit of inspiration, there's a lot of analogies, there's a lot of really good, useful stuff in there. If you're all interested in getting a copy of this book, reach out to me at laneman09@comcast.net, and I will arrange to get you a signed copy of the book. Guys, we have some announcements that I want to make before I move on. Juana Bordas just released her new book. It is called The Power of Latino Leadership Ahora. Right now she is at Texas A&M. Our own Juana Bordas is doing a book signing in Texas at Texas A&M. There is going to be a I believe it's April 18th. I'll have to look for it on my phone, but I'm sure it's April 18th. There's going to be another book signing at Su Teatro at 721 Santa Fe at 6:00 p.m. Upcoming guests, we have April 15th. Our next show will be Maria Ramirez. She's going to be talking about immigration, and she's going to be talking about it from a completely different point of view than you've probably ever considered before. The 29th, I am going to have my friend and author, Robert Derby. Robert Derby is the author of the book Inspiration from an Old American Queer. I've asked Robert to come and join us on the show and talk about what's going on nationally with the LGBTQ community, and he has graciously accepted the offer. Right now, we're sending our thoughts and love out to Robert. He is going for surgery here in the next few days. So, Robert, we're thinking about you all the time, thinking about you and hope for the best. And then on May 13th, Irene Blea. I just was able to contact her recently, and she's going to be coming onto the show. I will be getting a copy of her book to share with you very soon. Upcoming guests. I got some exciting new guests coming up, guys. Those of you who are from Colorado know that the first Hispanic legislator and female legislator was Polly Baca in the state of Colorado. She will be hopefully joining us very soon in an upcoming show. Former city councilwoman Ramona Martinez, who was a friend of mine many years ago. I'm hoping to be getting her on. Polly told me she would be putting me in touch with Ramona. Also, Don Mares, former state representative Don Mares, a friend of mine, is now in the private sector, but I'm reaching out to Don to see if I can have him as a guest on the show. Christina Montoya, she has a really interesting new book out that right now she's also in Texas doing book promotion. Calma, those of you who watch the show know that I always promote Calma. Frank Davila and I spoke recently, and he's going to be coming on the show. Also, Arturo Jimenez. Arturo wrote this book, Dreamers Nightmare, the U.S. War on Immigrant Latinx Children. Arturo has been a guest on the show before. Very powerful, very influential, and very important stuff that's relevant to today and what we know about and how we live our lives. Guys, there's been a lot going on out in the world. Nationally, we know that the twice impeached, disgraced, now indicted former president is officially has been indicted on 30 counts. We don't know what those charges are. Of course, as everyone says, he is innocent till proven guilty. And I just really something of note. Guys, it's going to be really windy today, as yesterday. Man, I don't know about you, but my hay fever and allergies were just really acting up. But that is going to be something to watch out for today. Today is going to be another windy day, fire danger, and so just be on your toes. So guys, as you see, I don't have a guest today, so we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about past guests that we have had on the show. And I have been so honored to be able to host so many brilliant minds and people who have done so much research and so much knowledge to share. And there's just been, this has been really a fantastic learning experience for me. As a host, as an author, as a human being, I've just been really, really fortunate to have been able to connect with and meet all of the people that I've had the opportunity to meet. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the show. Oh, one last thing. Guys, I am offering services as a frequency administrator. If you are having some condition that you would like to be treated or not, I can't say treated, but I'm offering frequency therapy, both Rife frequency therapy, terahertz frequency therapy, sound therapy, crystal therapy, and some touch. So I'm actually offering my services. You can reach out to me at laneman09@comcast.net, and I will tell you more. But yes, we are offering my services now officially. So, I did not put these books in any order except for the order of size. So as I go through these, I have so many that I had called favorites, and so many that were more inspirational than others, so many that were more learning for me, so many were eye-opening. But with that, let's just go ahead and start talking. Albert Racehorse Sample. This is a book he wrote. He's now deceased, but this book, Racehorse, Big Emma's Boy, is a story of a man who was back in the deep south, who was half black and half white, and what a difficult life he had, and how he had a life that he was really destined for a prison life based on his behaviors and his attitudes. And in his experience in prison, Racehorse was able to become quite an influence on other prisoners, on guards, and other people. And so he wrote this book after he was released from prison. Again, he has passed away. I have become friends with his wife, Carol Sample, and so Racehorse, Big Emma's Boy, is the first one that I talk about. Virginia Sanchez wrote the book Pleas and Petitions, Hispano Culture and Legislature Conflict in Territorial Colorado. I'm a native of Colorado, and so for me, this book was really, really a home run. It was really influential. It's such an eye-opener as far as what happened in southern Colorado, how it ended up being shaped in a square rather than just a jagged edge, and how people who literally, I talk about how the border crossed me, I didn't cross the border. This is really the in-depth, detailed story of that experience. And Virginia Sanchez is the author of that. I happened to get her one of her other books. Virginia also wrote The Forgotten Cuchareños of the Lower Valley. Virginia Sanchez, prolific historian, author. She's written these books in a way that are really easy to follow, easy to understand, and really entertaining too. So Virginia Sanchez, thank you for coming on and being a guest on the show. The first time I had Virginia on was during the pandemic, and so we did it through Zoom, and the last time she was able to come into the studio, and so it was really nice to, it's nice to see the gifted authors that we feature on the show. A long time ago, also during the pandemic, we had Kimberly Sanchez. Kimberly Sanchez wrote this book, Love and Legacy, Amor Eterno. If you like love stories, if you like drama, historical fiction, Kim has done so much research to put this book together. It began in 1519, and when I talked to her, I interviewed her, I remember her talking about just the importance of detail in a book, and the historical fiction actually requires so much more research than nonfiction, because you have to have accuracy, and when you're telling a story, you want it to flow, you want it to be conducive, and you want it to be cohesive. And so Kimberly wrote this book, Amor Eterno, Love and Legacy. Really, really. I would compare this to the work of Victor Villaseñor, in that it's just so full of love and so full of small stories that are collected together to make the final story. Love and Legacy, Amor Eterno. Oh my gosh. Guys, Diane Kissel is just one of the most dynamic, guests that I've had on the show. Diane had a life. She grew up here in Denver. This book, A Turquoise Life, A Woman's Journey Through Trauma and Triumph. Oh my gosh, I can't even begin to tell you how emotional this book was. I cried throughout this book. Just as a little girl, Diane was brutalized by her father, and he actually took the lives of Diane's mother and 3 of her siblings. And Diane survived that and has grown to have a very wonderful and a balanced, healthy life. And this book is really a good, just a reminder of how wonderfully blessed we are in this life. So, A Turquoise Life. Albert Quintana. Albert, if you're listening, I love you, man. I don't have both of your books, but I brought The Crochet Lady. Albert wrote this book. He also wrote the book No More Green Chilies. Albert was an educator in the Adams County Schools. He was the host of the show before I took over almost 4 years ago. And this book, The Crochet Lady, is also available through the station. I'm going through these books fast, so we're going to have to start talking about something else after that. And you know me when I get going. Anyway, Manuel Ramos, inducted into the Authors Hall of Fame for Colorado. The first Hispanic Latino author to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. This is his 10th novel. Manuel continues to write Angels in the Wind, a mile-high noir. Very, very interesting read, a fiction read. When I interviewed Manuel for this book, I just smile when I look at him, just because he just has so much insight, and you know, when you're around somebody who has a lot of wisdom, it just makes you feel good. And Manuel Ramos is one of these guys that when you're around him, you just get energized and you feel like, man, I could do anything. And so Manuel Ramos, Angels in the Wind. Donna Denome, another prolific author. Donna's written either 5 or 6 books, probably more from now on, since he was on the show. But 8 Keys to Wholeness is such a great book. It talks about the chakras, and it talks about how we can access the chakra energy in our body, and we can actually do healing upon ourselves. And when we start understanding this, there's so much more to healing than the American Medical Association. So 8 Keys to Wholeness, not just physical wholeness, but spiritual wholeness. Donna Denome, wonderful. I want to get Donna back on the show real soon because she's really worth listening to. Oh, I also didn't mention Chris Liagino. I'll be having Chris back on the show. Chris is oh man, he's so insightful, and he is a mystic who has really influenced my life. He's not an author, but Chris has spoken all over the world. He's mentored people from all ages. He knows how to access the Akashic records, and so Chris is really, really an awesome guest that I'll be having on, featuring on the show real soon. Victor Archuleta. Victor wrote this book, The Power of Energy Healing. Oh my gosh. Self-help at its finest. Power of Energy Healing really teaches you how you can draw upon energies in the universe, energies in the world, energies within yourself, to bring healing upon yourself, to bring wholeness within yourself. Just like a lot like Donna Denome's book. Victor lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He's a friend of mine. Actually, my daughter introduced me to him and his husband, Stephen. But Victor, really, really awesome book. Todd Fonestock. Todd is a legend, a legend. We had Todd on the show probably about 2 months ago. Todd wrote this book, Kaivan the Unkillable, Legacy of Shadows, and man, this is a book that's a real page turner. How Todd comes up with the information and the stories and the detail in his books, it's almost like he goes into another place to write. Todd Fonestock. Lanny Cook. Lanny Cook was, I believe Lanny was either my first or second guest I ever had on my show. Lanny's actually written 5 books. He also was an educator in the Adams County School District. Fingernails on the Chalkboard is an insider's look into the public education system. Lanny tells it like it is, man. But Lanny wrote this book, Fingernails on the Chalkboard. Dennis Ty, another one of my just, oh my gosh, he wrote a book that, oh, you laugh, you cry, you feel sadness, you feel connection. Every one of the characters in this book becomes real. By the time you're finished reading this book, you want to get on a motorcycle and go to South America. Let It Ride, Dennis Ty. Carmen Baca, also another prolific writer. She's written books, she's written poetry, she's written so many artful pieces that are just beautiful to read, make you feel good books, stories. But The Collector of Cuentos, Bella, The Collector of Cuentos, is a fantastic story. When you go with Bella on this journey, you go back to things that we forgot about in our lives, like the Llorona, and Duendes, and all kinds of wonderful stories that our parents told us to make us be good when we were kids. But Bella goes on this journey into her past, and finds out about her roots, and finds out about her culture, and finds out how mysticism and cultural quips and stories have influenced us in this lifetime and through lives before our own. Carmen Baca. Someone who I've looked up to since the 80s, who I have so much respect and admiration for, was on the show. Unfortunately, the show was flagged because of community guidelines. And Ramon del Castillo is not just a community activist, but he's a poet, he's a speaker, he's an influencer, he's been a powerful influence on my own life, and we'll look back one day and we'll see that this man was also another legend. Ramon del Castillo, Chicano, rhapsodic rhythm and blues. Ramon del Castillo, the poet, the community activist, community leader. Oh man. Rocio Perez wrote Unstoppable. Man, when you read Rocio's story and you see that this girl started out at a very young age with unwed as a mother, didn't know what she was going to do, didn't seem like she had any options, and man, she's made it to the top, and she's made a name for herself, and she's influenced the lives of many, many people. If you watch KUHS, you've seen her as a guest on the show, but Rocio is a wonderful author, and her book Unstoppable is also available through the station if you're looking for it. Guys, we're going to keep you busy for months reading all these good books. Charlotte Garcia Sims, oh yes. Charlotte, like me, like Virginia Sanchez, like a lot of us were from the southern Colorado, northern New Mexico. Our roots are from the northern New Mexico area and the southern Colorado area. Of course, once that was all Mexico, but she wrote this book, Orphan Stock, Growing Up Adopted in Manito Culture. I don't know if you grew up hearing the word manito and chilero. I did, and Charlene Garcia Sims really talks about the manito culture and how you can identify how manitos find each other in the airport. How manitos just really have a culture all its own in all the world. But Orphan Stock, really interesting read. Well, we're not even 22 minutes into the show and we're almost done. Guys, if you're just tuning in, you're watching KUHS Denver, the stream on Melody Drive. This segment is the Weekend Boost. Normally I feature authors. Being a live show, sometimes things fall through, so we make it happen one way or another because the show must go on. And so we are talking about past guests that we've had on the show, inspirational moments, things that we remember. I've been so fortunate to have been the host of this show for the last 3 and almost 4 years now. And those of you who follow, I'm so grateful that you give me your ear every other Saturday, and I'm just really, really honored that I have this opportunity. Moving forward, this book. Nancy Bo Flood wrote this, First Laugh, Welcome Baby. Nancy actually immersed herself in Native culture, particularly the Navajo culture, the Dene culture in Arizona. And she wrote this book with Roseanne Tahey. Roseanne passed away before this book was released, and so Nancy actually dedicates this book to her co-author Rose in this book. I love this book because it's about a Native family who has a baby, and in the Navajo culture, when a child laughs the first time, it's not a small thing. It's actually a big celebration, and so Nancy just kind of highlights how a family appreciates and treasures that child that's born, and when that child laughs, and what a wonderful music it is to the ears of all of us that are here. Lulu Buck, an educator. We have a lot of educators that come onto the show, but she had an idea about bullying and acceptance, and she's not just someone who sits back and waits for things to change or for people to make a positive influence. She actually put together a book called Sue's Sky, and it's actually now being used in the educational system in Adams County, and it's getting spread around. A lot of people, more and more people are starting to look at it. It's really a simple way for people to consider the views of other people as we go through life. You know, so many times when we stub our own toe, the only toe that hurts is ours, and so it's very hard for us to look at anyone else and see anyone else's pain, or see anyone else's struggle, or to see that anyone else needs help. But Lulu Buck, Lourdes, put this book together, and there's a workbook that actually goes with it in Spanish. She wrote this in Spanish and English. El cielo de Susana, Susie's Sky. And so that is the last book that I brought with me. So as you can see, there's a lot of books to choose from. If there's anybody out there who would really, really like to get any of these books, we really are at your service. I can put you in touch with any of these authors. If you reach out to us at the station, you can reach out to me at laneman09@comcast.net, and I will be happy to reach out to any author, including myself, and get a book into your hands. Okay. So let's talk about some things going on outside in our community right now. Next week, if you live in the city of Denver, please, whether you vote red, whether you vote blue, whether you vote independent, get out and vote next week. I was hoping to get Debbie Ortega on the show. I hope and believe that she's going to be one of the final runner-ups, if not the final candidate elected for mayor in the city of Denver. Denver's always been really a strong political community, and I've known that at times people who have run for city offices decided to remove themselves because there was so much dirty politics in the city of Denver. If that's so still, I don't know, but I hope it's not. In any case, please exercise your right to vote. If you look at history and you look at people who did not have that right, even in the last 50 years, man, it's really should be an inspiration for you to stand up and let your vote be heard. Yeah, you know what, we also, a lot of us say, my vote can't be counted, no one cares. Well, I care. And, there's been races that have been won by one vote in this past election cycle nationwide. And I think that no matter what the pessimists say, I'm going to do my best to get my vote out there. What do you think? Guys, I've considered making the show interactive, and I don't know if there's anybody out there who would like to write a question in. Let me know. laneman09@comcast.net, laneman09@comcast.net. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you'd like to see interactive shows. If you like to be able to say what what you want or who you want to be on the show. I'm always on the lookout. I was just checking my email to see if anybody had reached out. laneman09@comcast.net. So, election. I got to share something that I was listening to this morning that was really an eye-opener. One of the things that I hear a lot on TikTok, of course that's another issue with the U.S. government and TikTok, but one of the things that I hear on TikTok a lot is that we are on the verge of a collapse. And I don't know. I don't know what the future brings. But there was a gentleman this morning, and he had some points that I really, really had to take note of. The one thing that he mentioned was travel. And, the Asian countries have outperformed us in the area of train travel more than 10 to 1 in the last 10 years, 20 years. We don't have a bullet train. We don't have a hypersonic train or even plane. We don't have any mode of transportation that is really much more than a freight train speed. We have Amtrak, but man, if you've seen the Amtrak trains on the road anymore, they're so rickety and falling apart. I'm surprised we're not seeing more derailments with the Amtrak. When you consider that they can do in 20 minutes what we can do in 2 hours, you can imagine how fast transport can be, whether it's product, material, or people. When you can travel that much, you lower your expenses and you increase your output, and it's an obvious win for whoever is the one with the high-speed travel. Why is it not happening in the United States? I don't know. The other thing that he said that really shook me to my core was real wages. So, when we talk about wages, the wages in the United States have been stagnant, really, really stagnant for the last 10 years. Although CEO and VPs and executives are getting huge, huge increases, the average worker is really stagnant and not going anywhere. But that's not real wages. When you really compare your wages, your earnings, and the cost of living, what can you afford to buy? What can you afford to own? Where can you afford to go? That's what you call real wages. And in the United States, the real wages in the United States in the last 10 years have gone up less than 1%. That's not good. That's not good. That's really an indication of a country either in decline or a country that is ready to do a reset. And I don't know which of the two we are, but we're definitely in a place where one or the other has to happen. Because when you look at China, their real wages quadrupled in that last 10 years. So not only did their average wage increase, but their cost of living was made more manageable. As far as things like affordable housing and health care and food and education, transportation, owning a home. All of those things are very critical for a healthy society, and they're things that we really need to make changes in our country. This last week they had a big hearing, and they brought in the billionaire president of Starbucks. I'm not here to say good or bad about Starbucks, but it was interesting when he said, "Hey, I was in public housing. I was poor when I grew up, but I'm not a billionaire." I don't. I have a hard time making a comment with that because it's all. I don't even have a comparison. It just made me chuckle. Although I have a daughter who was with Starbucks, and she said overall the way that the employees were treated, there was a lot of very happy employees. A lot of them were happy with their starting wage. They have benefits there, and whether it's good or bad, again, that's really for the employees to decide that. But it's interesting that we have people up on, in congressional hearings talking about how poor they are. We have a billionaire head of a social media giant, who is paying lobbyists to undermine his competition, and hoping that all of the people who leave that social media if they shut it down, are gonna go to his social media app, and more people are saying, I'm not going to Facebook, I'm not going to Instagram, and I'm doing it because of what the billionaire president of Facebook is doing as far as this dirty lobbying. They're talking about truth in advertising, and I was there for the 2016 election, and I saw the Russian bots, and I heard all the influence, and I got the information about Cambridge Analytica and us selling all of us, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook selling all of our information to Cambridge Analytica. And so, I have some real issues with that. I have a hard time having faith that they are doing business in good faith. So that's something that's coming up real soon. LGBT community. I just got to tell you that I'm so sorry to see these lawmakers causing you to be harassed and causing you to be inconvenienced in so many ways from living your lives freely. And I just wish there was something I could do to give you more support. But all I can do is just let you know that we're rooting for you. We're allies. Someone asked me, why do you have such compassion for gay people? And I don't know. I no one's better than me. I'm not better than anyone, and I'm not definitely not here to harm anyone because of how they were born. When I was about 14 years old, maybe 15 years old, I was listening to the radio, and the Rod Stewart song came on, The Ballad of Georgie. And if you've never heard that song, Google it and listen to this song. And it talks about this young man, Georgie, who was cast out from his family, and he had nowhere to go. And next thing you know, he was on a bus to New York City. And when he got to New York City, the whole community, the gay community, embraced him, and they loved Georgie. And no party was complete without Georgie. And Georgie made lives fulfilled. And it talks about how he was, tears fell from his mama's face, and she said, how could my son not be straight after all I've said and done for him? That might have been his father. But Georgie's parents excommunicated him. They expelled him from their lives because he was gay. And I think it was just, the song just broke my heart. I remember I was listening to the song, and it made me cry. And I said to myself, I don't care if my kids are bank robbers. I don't care who my kids are or what they do. They're my kids, and I'm going to love them no matter what. And I think it softened a part of my heart. Or maybe I just never was really, I'm not threatened by someone who's gay. It just doesn't, one time my sister was going to go to a wedding, and there was a lot of gay people there, and she's very anti-gay, and she said, I didn't want to go there. There was too many gay people in there. And I said, are you afraid you're going to get gay cooties? Guys, if someone's gay, it's no different than if they're Asian, or if they're male, or if they're female, or if they're tall or short, or if they're old or young. They're just not you. They're really, really getting persecuted at this time. And now that this Tennessee shooter, it's come out that he was trans, or she was trans, all of a sudden all gays, all trans people are murderers. And it's like, guys, come on, look at the track record. You can see that this is an exception, not the rule. And the cause. Yeah, you could say that it's mental health, and it is mental health. Ever since the Ronald Reagan era, they've eliminated, and they've laughed at, and they've discredited and discouraged mental health. And we need mental health in this country. We need mental health. We need red flag laws. Would a red flag law have stopped the Tennessee shooter? I don't know. But my opinion is that we need to do something. You know, I put a post on TikTok the other day, and it was some people laughed at it. Some people, you know, I mean, I've had some really long, drawn-out conversations regarding it, and I'm going to read it to you if I could find it. But it was, I thought it was a very relevant post. A 30-30 round travels at 1,970 foot per second. A 7mm round travels at 1,800 feet per second. A 30-06 round travels at 2,800 feet per second. A 22 round travels under 1,200 feet per second. A 22 round is the same diameter as the 5.56 millimeter round, which is the AR-15 round. Same size as a 22 round. But the 5.56 millimeter round is used in the AR-15, also the U.S. military M16. It travels at 3,200 feet per second. That small round traveling so much faster is more deadly, because even though that, you know, that the 30-06 is at 2,800 feet per second, it kicks like a mule. You could never do two shots once, you know, right after the other, whereas the M16 can be fired again and again and again with no recoil or no kick at all. So it's much more easy to cause harm. It was not designed to hunt animals with. It really wasn't, and I'll explain. The bullet was designed to cause maximum damage and by being a tumbler bullet. It bounces off both bone and flesh, tearing through organs and bones. One round could rip through multiple organs and literally decapitate its victim. That is why the children at Uvalde could only be identified through DNA. I finished this post by saying the Second Amendment can live without weapons of war. Kids should not be a living sacrifice. Now, guys, I'm a gun owner. I'm a gun owner. I'm a proud gun owner. But I keep my guns in a safe place. And I mean, not that you don't, or if you disagree with this. I keep my guns in a safe place, but I don't have a gun that's going to be used. Okay, I don't even know how to say this. Of course, any gun can be used in a violent act, but there's a reason that, you know, we've had over 51 school shootings this year, I'm sorry, that was last year. 51 school shootings, and over 90% of those involved an AR-15, because it does maximum damage, and it's easy, it's convenient, and the people who use these in mass shootings have a purpose, because they want to do maximum damage. I don't know if they want to hurt people. I don't know if they think about all of the mothers and all of the fathers, all of the baby brothers and older brothers and sisters, the aunts, the grandparents, the uncles who suffer that loss. Maybe if we had a red law that would help someone to cool down a little bit, maybe get to their senses, maybe we could cut down on this. The NRA has more power, lobbying power, more influence than all of the children in America. And the shooters or the politicians who support gun advocates always send thoughts and prayers, but, you know, thoughts and prayers don't give much when you have a dead child. Doesn't help you when someone says, oh, she's in a better place. No, she's not. Her face was ripped off by a 5.56 millimeter round. I don't have the answers to this, guys. I wish I did. But I know that something has to change. There has to be some compromise. Don't you think that NRA could live without an AR-15? Don't you think that we could have more people survive if we had less gun shootings? It's really just common sense. What are the answers? It's really up to you. You got an answer? Let me know. laneman09@comcast.net. I'm checking my email periodically. If there's anybody who wants to write in, if you hate me, if you like me, if you want to argue, you want to discuss something, hey, we can even talk on the phone. But something's got to change in this country because there's a lot of people that are suffering. There's a lot of children who go to school every morning and they wonder if they're going to come home. It used to be that police officers would go to work every day and their spouses would say, oh, please, please be careful, please come home. We shouldn't be saying that to our children. We shouldn't be saying that to our children. Tuesday, the former president is going to be arraigned and indicted. They've said that they're not going to be handcuffing him. Apparently, they're not even going to be doing a mugshot on him. Everybody knows who he is. The spokesman for the former president said that that the Secret Service could not be ready to transport him to New York yesterday, Friday, March 31st. They said that they couldn't transport him because they needed to mobilize, and they couldn't do it till next Monday. Whereas right after that statement was put out, the Secret Service says that's not true at all. We are ready to move at a moment's notice, and so it's just one of the delay tactics that we've seen from the the twice impeached, disgraced former, now indicted president. But there's 30 counts. So I'm also interesting. It's interesting to hear all of the supporters, especially the lawmakers, that are saying that these charges are unfounded and this is a witch hunt and nothing that is on here is true, and they want to investigate Alvin Bragg, the district attorney of Manhattan, and nobody's even seen the document. Nobody even knows what the indictment contains, and they're saying that it's all witch hunt, but there's 30 counts. 30 counts. So I'd say that we should not hold our breath. Let's wait till Tuesday. Wait till the indictment's unsealed. And let's see what the charges really are. And this didn't start when President Biden took office. These investigations were underway a long time ago. Back in 2017, 2016. Some of them were take place back in the early 2000s because there's been tax fraud going on within the Trump organization for many, many, many years. He's always been a litigator. He's always been in front of a judge. He's always had lawsuits filed against him. I mean, always. He's always had investigations. He's always had mob ties. He's always filed bankruptcy. All of these are true, guys. Am I biased? I guess you could say I am biased. Why am I biased? Because for 4 years I saw scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. I said, man, it's scandal of the day. And every day I said, man, is this ever going to end? Is there ever going to be justice? And so now that I'm starting to see the wheels of justice turn, however slow, I'm relieved. I'm relieved because I've seen the influence of what this guy can do. Last week he put a picture of himself holding a baseball bat. Right next to him was a picture of Alvin Bragg, the DA, and the next thing you know it, he's starting to get death threats. I'm tired of this man because I'm tired of instability in our country. I'm tired of the division so wide. I would love nothing more than to find someone who can bring us together. And I know there's people trying, but right now the chasm is great. And what was more interesting than the indictment was to see all of the political supporters come forth and just proclaim his innocence without You know, I know we're all innocent before, until proven guilty, but we're not innocent without being proven guilty. I mean, if someone proves you guilty, you're guilty. Someone's opinion of whether you're guilty or not is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, the indictment will reveal all of the questions that we have. Our opinions will remain, and how we feel about them, hey, that's entirely up to you. What else? Women. I believe that there has been war declared on women. I believe that when you have a country where they punish a woman more than her rapist, then we have a problem. We have a war against women. When you have lawmakers who said women should face the death penalty for having an abortion, we have a war on women. What can be done about this? Vote. When you see a legislator who is putting forth legislation that negatively impacts you, spread the word. Tell everyone you know, this person hates women and we must vote them out. Because the only way it's going to happen is with your vote. Georgia is now trying to implement laws that say that if you investigate someone they don't like, they can remove you from office, and that's exactly what they're trying to do with Fani Willis, the district attorney of Atlanta, Georgia. I think and I hope that she's going to be able to get everything said and done before that legislation takes place. But when someone gets to the point where if they don't like you investigating them, they remove you from office, that's not democracy, man. We got a problem. Democracy is diminishing. And if you don't vote now, the power of your vote will mean nothing. And if you think it means little now, wait till this legislation starts passing. And it's not just in Georgia. It's happening in many, many states across the country. Abortion is a right that's been a woman's right for 50 years. 50 years is, I'd call, precedent. Now they're trying to take it away. No, they're not trying to take it away. They are taking it away. And they're making it a criminal act. And then they call it freedom. We look at the state of Florida, and the governor of Florida wants to erase history, except for white history. He wants to delete all of the contributions from slaves, all the contributions from people of color, all the contributions from women. Books about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, he's taken out of the libraries and making it a felony to bring them in. A felony. I know this. History tells us that people who will burn books will soon burn people. Will soon burn people. This is a reality. Your vote counts. If you don't vote, there's a big, big void there. There's a huge need to have your voice heard. We've had a lot of good guests on the show, and I'm hoping that in the near weeks and months to come, we can find some people who are writing proactive books about what's going on in our society right now. There's a lot going on. If you do any research or listen to the news about the BRICS program that's going on, there's several different nations. There's Russia, there's China, there's Brazil, there's Saudi Arabia. There's at least 4 or 5 countries who are all getting together, and now they're saying that they're going to that Russia, who sells all their gold to these countries, actually make up 40% of the world's population. What they're saying is Russia will no longer accept the American dollar, and all these other countries will no longer either. Oil will be purchased in gold only. This presents a huge threat to the United States, and no one's talking about it. No one's talking about it. Why? There's so much going on in this world, and there's so many people asleep, guys. You know, a lot of my guests have come on and they've talked about this awakening in this collective consciousness, and more people are becoming aware and becoming alerted to what's going on, and there's this new shift that's going on, and this consciousness is raising the vibration of a lot of people on earth. But I'm seeing a lot of people that aren't interested in raising their vibration. I've seen a lot of people that aren't interested in being informed and having their eyes opened. And if you remember the movie Don't Look Up, if you haven't seen it, oh man, it's on Netflix, worth watching. Don't Look Up. It's not really, to me it's almost a documentary. It's almost a study on what's going on in this country. Global warming. We're seeing incredible changes to our weather. We're seeing, 8, 10-foot snowfalls in California, atmospheric rivers. The growers are now sounding the alarm. They can't plant because there's a river, there's a lake there where they used to plant strawberries. And this spring, when everything is planted, they're not going to be able to plant because they have nowhere to put that water. And if you don't plant a garden this year, you really should. Because we got a lot of changes coming up. The supply chains are going to change. There's people that are talking about the American dollar may have a different face on it. More and more people are stopping accepting and receiving cash as payment. They're going straight digital. This morning I was told that PayPal will still be PayPal, but it's no longer going to be PayPal. It's actually Zettle, which is another payment format, and so the shift that's taken place has taken place at all levels, within the government, within society, within gender. There's a lot of shifts taking place. I think there's a lot of positive things coming, but I think that we may have to go through a bumpy road before we get to the smooth sailing. It's like when you're taking off in an airplane and you hit that turbulence on the way up. Brace yourself. These next few weeks are going to be a real trying time for us, and I'm just really hoping for the best. I'm trying to keep my eyes open, my optimism up, and just really, really hope for the best. April 3rd. April 3rd is coming up real soon. It's actually in a month, in a couple of days. Excuse me. We're asking you to not go to work that day. Would you do that? Would you skip work on April 3rd? Don't buy gas. Can you imagine if just if even 50% of the country didn't buy gas just one day? Do you think that would impact the big oil companies that are gouging us and calling it inflation and taking maximum profits? What if you didn't go to a CVS or Walgreens pharmacy just one day? What if you didn't go to work just one day? Don't buy from big box stores just one day. Stay away from chain restaurants for just one day. Call it a sick day. Call it a protest day. I know that it's hard to not get your pay. I know that it's hard to give up one day. But I can tell you that if we were all to do it, April 3rd, day after tomorrow, we would make a huge bang. The powers that be need to wake up and listen to us. Guys, my show's about over. I've rambled on a little bit. I hope that I've given you some insight. I hope that you've gotten a book that you'd like to gather, collect, and read. Mr. International's coming up, Paul Chavez, and Deep Cuts. I just hope that you stay with KUHS today. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your life. We love you guys. We appreciate you. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Maria Ramirez will be here, and we will be talking about immigration from a different perspective. Thank you very much. We love you.